Speaking of running the ball, an absolute piss ton. Notre Dame plays Navy at MetLife Stadium. I actually got a nice little tidbit right here from Blazing Down Her in the comment section 3 months ago when we posted our Notre Dame having the easiest schedule in college, one of the easiest schedules in college football, which normally, obviously, we know that Notre Dame normally has a really good schedule. It just happened to play out that they played 2 service academies, and now, in hindsight, they had to play A&M on the road, Northern Illinois. Just kidding. The Florida State game ended up, not being a big one. USC still might be tough because it's on the road, but you got to play the 2 service academies. And Louisville is a pretty good team as well. Georgia State. It ended up being actually not an easy schedule as I thought it would be. So, but anyways, this guy said, for those wondering, Notre Dame plays Navy every year because during World War II, the Naval Academy more or less saved Notre Dame financially by hosting training on Notre Dame's campus and paid the school to keep them afloat. Therefore, as payback, Notre Dame plays Navy every year. The gray paint in Notre Dame Stadium is Naval Battleship Gray. Notre Dame is playing Army this year also because of the 100-year anniversary of the Grantland Rice Four Horsemen article. So normally Notre Dame doesn't play 2 military academies, but here we are. Also, the academies don't have large enough stadiums for big games, obviously, hence the neutral site. And fun fact, Notre Dame has never played Navy in Annapolis. So thank you for that comment. That was insanely informative. I did not know all of that. So that was just thought it'd be cool to share that. And look, if you guys have cool facts about your teams or cool traditions that, maybe national coverers of college football like us don't necessarily know, please share it. It's awesome. We love hearing about that stuff. But regardless, back to the game. Notre Dame is favored by 12.5 points here. And Navy has been really, really frisky on the offensive side of the football. Can't say the same about the defensive side of the football. But if you slow the game down enough, right, and you generate enough explosive plays, like, Northern Illinois generated enough explosive plays, and you're able to shut down this run game for Notre Dame, which I know that their pass game has picked up in the last couple of weeks. Riley Leonard's played better football, but I don't know. Things get interesting. This is a small line for a neutral site game, 12.5. Like, man, what are we talking about here? This is awesome football, man. 2 top 25 teams, Notre Dame, Navy.
I think it's awesome. I think, first of all, it's really hard, I think, for power rankers, Vegas, et cetera, to put a number on Nevada and Army, especially. So, like,
Navy.
Wow, I'm so sorry. Navy, excuse me. Navy and Army to kind of figure out where they actually are. Obviously, they've been looking fantastic. The eye test tells you one thing. The numbers say the same thing as well. But I think it's hard to quantify where. I think they're just kind of throwing out in the line that they can feel okay, that they can get, pretty even betting on both sides, which obviously is the goal for these, Vegas bookies or the Vegas websites, all that good stuff. Man, I don't know how I feel about this. On one hand, I go back to Louisville, right? And there's obviously no data point to compare Navy to anyone on their schedule, but if you want to talk about like creative offenses and like guys that can find ways to scheme points or to scheme schemes up against Notre Dame, against good defenses, it's a guy like Jeff Brom, and their running backs ran the ball very efficiently against Notre Dame. Obviously, they're in a loss, and potentially if they get out kind of behind like they did in that game, they kind of had to go away from them and more towards Tyler Shuck throwing the football. And obviously, Navy did not want to be in that same spot, right? But I do wonder how Notre Dame does if they do have to stop this run for 4 quarters, because you have to be so disciplined, you have to be so good, every single play. Otherwise, they will take advantage of you. Blake Horvath has been incredible. And we've seen some really good players come out of Navy the past couple of years, obviously, right? He is awesome. And they're also doing it through the air, too. Like 15 attempts, right? 13 attempts. You're going
Heidenreich? Dog.
Yeah, Heidenreich's a dog, too. So, like, it's not just your one-trick pony. It's a very creative offense. It's very fun to watch. And they're obviously putting up big-time numbers against everybody. Now, this will be a different test, for sure. A much different test. I was very impressed with Notre Dame last week, not only how efficient Riley Leonard was and how well they ran the ball against Georgia Tech, and then also how well they stopped that run. I think a big part of that was due to Haynes King potentially being out in the explosiveness he brings, but Zach Pyron's also very good with his legs as well, and they shut that run game down all game long. They caused turnovers. They wreaked havoc for 4 quarters against the Yellow Jackets there. Man, oh man, this is a much different game than last year, right? It was Sam Hartman's first game. They were playing in Dublin, and they just stomped Navy. This year, man, it's gonna be awesome. I think think I'm just gonna take Notre Dame to win, and I'm just gonna take Navy to cover. I'm not trying to middle it here. I think this is gonna be one of those games that's just gonna be close, man. And I think if you give Navy just a little bit of momentum, a little bit of belief here, and just let them stay in this football game, it's gonna be hard to get stops in that fourth quarter if they are wearing you down.
I don't think Navy's defense is very good. I also think if there's one way to like absolutely just shut down, the triple option, it's like if you have really good interior defensive linemen and fast linebackers, like you're forcing to run away from the D tackles, right? Riley Mills and Howard Cross, and then you got some really athletic linebackers, and I think plus linebacker play that you maybe weren't as confident going into the season with for Notre Dame, but they've looked pretty good. All right, so I know you're missing some guys in the secondary. I think Jaden Mickey is gone, Benjamin Morrison hurt. So I think you're missing some guys there, but against a team like Navy, maybe that doesn't matter that much, right? But from a power rating perspective, I think maybe the market it's not high enough on Notre Dame in this game. I'll take Notre Dame to win and cover in this game. Not a best bet because again, it's hard to do that the whole game. With if you're asking a team to cover a big spread against a military school, it's like it's tough. There's special circumstances. Air Force and the way that they're playing right now, yeah, I can understand wanting to cover a spread against them or taking a spread to cover against them or one as big as this. But yeah, I'm gonna ride with Notre Dame here. I think they're gonna be able to run the football. This Navy defense has gotten shredded, right? And what happens, by the way, when that Navy defense has to keep going back on the field because their offense can't get anything going, right? I think that this is a kind of game where, yeah, there's a variable range of outcomes where Navy, one could win this football game, right? Because you had explosive plays from NIU that resulted in a lackluster pass game that resulted in Notre Dame losing that game against NIU. But I think there's a greater variance. There's a larger range of outcomes of Notre Dame that potentially blows them out, right? Given how this game script could go.
Yeah, and I think for Navy, you can't turn the ball over, right? You have to win that turnover battle. Like you
Which
said,
they haven't this year.
No. But like if you're going to be ultra aggressive in this game, like you can't be doing that. I do think you mentioned the defensive backs being out for them. That does concern me a little bit for Notre Dame. Maybe not going to be a huge drop off because you're going to be stopping the run a lot and kind of sending bodies there. But if you're in the triple option and you have to stop explosive plays, not only right making one-on-one tackles in the open field, but also one-on-one coverage down the football field, not falling for fakes, not biting here and there, not getting just flat out beat off the line of scrimmage and letting Navy and Blake Horvath and his receivers connect on deep passes down the football field. That could be a spot where you can, or if you are your safeties or your defensive backs that are new, right, and you're not quite communicating perfectly all throughout this football game, and you see all this misdirection, all this, and all of a sudden they leak them out. That could be where you steal a couple points, steal a touchdown here and there for Navy. This game, styles matter, right? If whoever can play their brand of football that they want to play, it's going to dictate how this game goes in the second half. Now, if it's a game in the second half, I want to ask you this. I told you right now, hey, it's going to be a 3-point game in the second half, and I don't know what happened.
In the fourth quarter?
In the fourth quarter, or late in the third quarter.
I like Navy.
It's not crazy because I feel good
in a
about
close game like that.
Close them out. Yeah.
In a close game like that, if you're telling me Notre Dame's offense is stalling out, I like Navy in that spot.
I want to ask you too. What do you think the crowd split's going to be? Because obviously, Annapolis is not far from Notre Dame.
It'll be all Notre Dame. There's Notre Dame. It's such a national brand. They're everywhere. Those Catholics are all over the place.
Do you think? I wonder if Navy will travel. I wonder, or if people just go and start rooting for Navy because why not? I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, it's top 25 matchup. Yeah, you never know. It's MetLife.
I hope it's some kind of even spot. I hope Navy has some kind of momentum that they can kind of salvage because selfishly, I think this would be an awesome. Just if it's a close game, I think it'll be awesome.